Hi, I'm Noah Trenhale. I'm a technical service engineer with Teledyne ISCO, part of Teledyne Labs. Today we're going to be going over the ReaXus installation and operation. This specifically is an LD class pump, Hastelloy, with temperature cooling jackets. We are going to go over installing the tubing, installing a drip tray, powering on, priming, and operation of the pump. So the first step is going to be locating your power cord. This will be dependent on where you are located and what line cord you have. This is for North America, so we've got a 120 volt line cord. Once that's plugged into your wall voltage, plug this into the rear of the pump. Got a kettle plug right here with our fuse block located below. Once we have that plugged in, I'm going to power on the pump, make sure everything's initializing, we have no errors. We can see our flow rate displayed here. I'm now going to install the drip tray. This goes below the pumps to catch any leaking from the system. That will slide in like so. Next step is we have a leak detector that will come taped to the instrument that will sit in the drip tray so that any leaks that do come up in the system will be detected and caught. Now I'm going to install the tubing. First step is going to be removing the inlet and outlet plugs. So we have our inlet plugs for our inlet check valves down below here. Behind there, for the flush housing, we will have an inlet down below on the right pump head and an outlet on the left pump head. There are multiple pump options available for the LD class pump. This specific pump is going to be the Hastelloy pump head version with the cooling jackets. All Hastelloy versions will come with these cooling heating temperature jackets. To operate these, you will need silicone tubings to your barb fittings on your inlet that can connect between the two pumps. You have an outlet. You will need some sort of recirculator and external temperature control for those specific applications, whether you are heating or cooling. On a stainless steel pump head, these temperature jackets will be missing, and you will just have your inlet tubing lines and your flush housings. Now for the tubing. So for the inlet tubing, it'll include a T that will connect to both of our pump heads, along with a filter, dip filter for our solvent reservoir. Now that the inlet tubing is installed, I will also have an additional 2 pieces of tubing that are unterminated at the ends. These will be for our flush housings on our pump heads. We'll have an inlet for our flush housing on the right pump head for our dual reciprocating pumps, and an outlet on the left pump head. We will connect one of these tubing lines to the inlet on the left, and we will have our outlet tubing on the left pump head. Flush housing is intended to flush the piston as it's reciprocating with clean solvent. In this demonstration, we will be using the same solvent that we will be pumping through the system, which is 80-20 IPA and water. Now that we have our tubing installed, we can go ahead and insert our inlet filter into our solvent reservoir. We can also drop the inlet to our flush housing into your flush solvent. Again, in this demonstration, we'll be using the same solvent that we'll be pumping through the system. I will also want to place my outlet either to waste or back into your wash solvent, your flush solvent, to recycle through. Lastly, what we'll need to do is connect the outlet to our pump. I have 16th inch stainless steel tubing. I'll want to disconnect the outlet plug from my ReaXus pump. I can now connect my outlet tubing to the outlet and tighten down. I'll be recycling this solvent, so I will be putting my outlet to the pump back into our solvent reservoir. Now what we're gonna need to do is prime our pump. There will be a supplied 24 milliliter syringe intended for priming the pump, and we will have our prime knob located to the left of our outlet underneath our display. To prime, I'm going to insert my syringe into the lure lock on the prime knob and open roughly 2 turns. And on screen, I will have a P button that I'll press for prime. You should see an indicator telling you that we are now priming. And I will pull on the syringe, and I should start to see solvent and bubbles entering the syringe. You may need to prime several times until you are just pulling in your solvent into the syringe. Before I remove the syringe, I am closing the prime port fully and then removing. Now that I'm mostly pulling in solvent, I'm going to close my prime port. Once I'm done priming, I'll press the P button again to stop. And now you can see we are back to our main screen. Currently, I'm set to the flow position. If I were to hit start, the pump is now operating. Any residual air after the prime port will be coming out of the system, and I should be getting flow coming out of my outlet tubing. Depending on your application, you may need to increase the flow rate, which you can do with these directional arrows on your main keypad. To stop the pump, I can press the play pause button, and the pump is now stopped. We don't have any back pressure on the system currently, though since we are using 16th inch tubing with water and IPA, we will generate some sort of back pressure with the resistance. To check that back pressure, when I am running the pump, I can press the list button under our prime. This will now change our view to pressure, and I can see we're generating 2 psi worth of back pressure. If I press the list button again, I'll get my high pressure maximum. Maximum pressure is 6,000 psi, and I can decrease this depending on my application to set the maximum pressure. In applications where you need to maintain a level above a minimum pressure, you'll press the list button again. We will go down to our low pressure setting, and I can increase my minimum pressure. After the pump has recognized that we are below the minimum pressure, you will get a fault and an on-screen indication of what the fault is. In this case, low pressure. If I want to clear that, because my back pressure is 2 psi, I will set that back to 0 and run. Still at 2 psi, I should not run into that fault. If any leaking occurs at the pump heads during operation, it will be caught by the drip tray, and our leak detector will recognize that solvent in the drip tray and throw our leak alarm. Those are the essential steps for operating the ReaXus pump. They can be used in a wide variety of applications: preparative, semi-preparative, flash scale. For more information on our ReaXus class pumps, you can visit www.teledynelabs.com.